welcome to video 11.5 on mean, mode, and median. This is for Algebra 2. Our lesson today involves calculating mean, mode, and median, which I think most of you already have completed. We're also going to show you how to set up a box and whisker, both with a calculator and without. But first, take out your guided notes and take a look at the definitions of the three measures of central tendency, which we have in front of us. Mean is average. I think most of you know that. The symbol that you may not be aware of is the X with a little bar above it. That simply means average. So, and if you take a stats class, that's the symbol that they use. So if you ever see this symbol used, it means average or mean. Median is the middle score. That's like in the middle for middle score. And mode is the score that occurs the most often. So in this video, what I'm hoping to do is show you how to calculate the mean, median, and mode, and then do it first with a calculator by hand, essentially, and then using our graphing calculators to help us with this. So what I want you to do is take a look at the table below. It shows right here the number of textbooks each student has in their book bag. And what it simply means is that we're going to have one student with no textbooks, 6 with 1, 10 with 2, and 4 with 3, and 4 with 4. What I want you to do is make a list of all the possible answers here. So we got 1 0, we got 6 1s, we got 10 2s, we got 4 3s, and we got 4 4s. So I'm going to hit pause here, take a time out, and just make a list of all those numbers. And then we're going to calculate both the mean, median, and mode, and show you some different strategies on how to do that. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, I made a list of all the different options here that we have in our table, and as you can see, the table is much more convenient. It's shorter, it's easier to work with, but this is essentially what it means. What we got a list of all the kids. There's 25 students, and the number of books that each student has in their book bag. Now, to calculate the mean, you would add all these values together and then divide by 25. I think most of you are aware of that. If we do that using the long list of numbers, obviously that's a lot of work for us, but we can actually do that with the table. When you calculate mean, you want to find the sum, in this case, of all the numbers and divide it by the number of people that have book bags, which is 25. To calculate that sum, here's what you could do using the table. I mean, obviously, you can just add all these numbers together and divide by 25. You could just take 1 times 0, which is 0, 6 times 1, which is 6. This is basically the sum of each of these. 2 times 10, which is 20. 3 times 4, which is 12. 4 times 4, which is 16. And then what I want you to do at this time is add all those numbers together, or if you want to add the long list of numbers, you're welcome to, and then divide by 25, and that would be your average. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, if you add all these numbers together, you get 54, and that's the same sum as if you would add all these numbers. Obviously, if we just use the multiplication and then add principal, it gives you an easier time of finding that 54. And then, of course, we need to know how many students there are. So 1 plus 6 plus 10 is 16, plus 4 is 20, plus 4 is 25. That should be. So 17, 21, and 25. Yes. The total number of students adds up to be 25, and that's what we divide by to get our average. Remember the notation for average or mean, and your approximate average is 2.16. Now, the middle score is right in the middle, and there's one way of finding this is making a list of all your numbers. In this case, it's going to be between the 12th and the 13th student. So let's count over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, right between these two. And if we average those two, that's going to be our middle score. So our median, we would classify that as 2. The middle score. And then, of course, the score that occurs the most often, the mode, in this case, is going to be the one that occurs, which the table tells us is just 2 because there's 10 2s. All right, so if you wanted to, you could just define a median, just add up, count how many students you have, divide by 2, and you get 12.5. So you count over 12 and a half places, which puts you between the 12th and 13th students. Since these two numbers are the same, it would be just 2. If these were different, you would average them. So that's how you find median, mode, and mean given a table of information. Now what I want you to do is get your calculators out, and I want to show you alternative ways of finding mean, mode, and median, which you can use on your MCA, and it's pretty effective. We're also going to show you how to put box and whisker in your calculator. So at this time, take out your calculator, and what I want you to do at this time is put all these numbers right here in list 1. So take all these numbers and enter them in your list 1 on your calculator. I'll hit pause and wait for you to complete that. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, I've cleared all my list under Stat, Edit. How I got to this is hit Stat, the Stat button, and Edit, and you should see lists 1 and 2 and 3 located on your calculator. If not, come and see me, and we'll have to reset your calculator. List 1 has all the numbers that are in the previous problem that we did by hand. What we're going to do with that is calculate the mean and the median. So all you have to do is, and this is a little time consuming with this problem, but in certain cases it's very unique, it's very helpful. Put all your numbers in for list 1, and then hit Stat, and then Edit was when we put the information in. Now we're going to calculate, Stat, calculate, and we're going to scroll down, actually, excuse me, back up. It's not there. It's second stat. You want to hit the second stat button. So when we're looking at math options for our list, so let me review with you. Once you get the data in your list, we want to look at the list and do some math with it. And as you can see, it will give you the minimum, maximum, the average, the median, the sum of the list, standard deviation, which we'll talk about later. It works pretty nice. So if you want to find, let's say, the mean, you go to mean, you enter that in. In this case, it pops up on the bottom. There's ways for that not to happen, but you got to make sure you tell the calculator to look at list 1, and it tells you the average. Now, I didn't like that because it took the average and put it right in my list. So let's try and make that so it doesn't come up on your list. So let's clear our screen. Let's just hit second quit. Okay, now let's go to our second list, math, and scroll down to average, which is mean. Then you got to tell the first, let's enter that. So we're going to enter the mean, and then we have to tell the calculator which list to look at, list 1. And we get 2.2. Okay, well the average is not 2.2. It's 2.16, and here's why. When I calculated the mean at the bottom of the screen, the calculator replaced the 0 with that, which obviously changes the mean. So now that I have 0 as my first number, and then I have my 6 ones in a row, it should calculate the mean for me. So let's clear the screen. Clear everything out of there. Now let's go to second list and do your math option, and the average is the mean. We're going to enter that, second list 1, enter, and now that is the mean that we came up with before. Again, make sure that you clear the screen so the calculator doesn't put that average in your list. Otherwise that will change the data, especially if you do what I did and replace the number that was there with something different. It will also calculate the median, as you can see. And so you enter that, and then make sure you tell it to look at list 1, enter, and there's your median. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you, the next video is on box and whisker plots. You can have your calculator do this also. So let's clear the screen. The first thing you got to do is set up your stat plot. You got to turn it on, but here's what we need to do. A box and whisker is right here. This is your box and whisker. It's highlighted on mine. And when you highlight that and enter it, it's going to prompt you to list 1. Then the only thing you got to really worry about is make sure your windows are set, they accommodate your list 1. So I went from -2 all the way up to 10. If you set your windows to mine, it'll look the same. And then if you hit graph, you'll see a box and whisker appear on your screen. Now, when you watch the Pearson video, it's going to explain what this actually measures as far as spread. If you hit trace on your calculator, it'll tell you what each one of these bars represents. Right now I hit trace and I saw median pop up. Well, that's the median value right there, that middle line in between your box. If I scroll over, this is quartile number 1, which means 25% of my data is below that, 75% is above it. If I go one more over, that's the minimum, is 0, which of course in our data is 0 is our smallest of all. And then you can go back over here. This is quartile 3, meaning that 25% of my data is above that, 75% is below, and then you end up with the maximum value here, which is, as you can see here, is 4. So that's the highest number of books in each bag. So that's a box and whisker. What I want you to be able to do is first be able to obviously use your calculator, and I want you to try this with the Pearson video. The Pearson video is going to show you how to put it on your how to do it by hand, and then I want you to be able to do it on your calculator. So make sure you can do it both ways. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you have more questions. Thank you.